On March 12th, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appeared on camera. He spoke. He said Israel is crushing Iran. He said Hezbollah is being destroyed. He said the operation is succeeding. The video was posted on his official channel. Within hours, millions of people had watched it. And within those same hours, something unusual happened. A large number of those viewers, not Iranian state media, not pro-Iran accounts, but mainstream Western commentators, American political figures, and regular citizens with no direct connection to the conflict, began asking a question that nobody had publicly asked about a sitting Western leader in recent memory. Was that real? Candace Owens, an American commentator with millions of followers. Why is his office releasing and deleting fake AI videos of him? And why is there mass panic at the White House? The post spread. People started doing frame-by-frame analysis of the video, pointing to what appeared in one specific frame to be an extra finger on Netanyahu's right hand. The Israeli Prime Minister's office responded, "These are fake news. Prime Minister is fine." Fact-checkers at Snopes confirmed that Netanyahu had appeared live at a press conference the previous day and had been photographed at a missile impact site in Beth Shemesh. Netanyahu is alive. The video appears to be real, but that is not the actual story. The real story is that a video of a sitting head of government during an active war, a war that has been running for 2 weeks, a war involving the United States military, a war disrupting 20% of global oil supply, generated enough genuine public doubt about its authenticity that major Western commentators felt the need to ask whether it was AI generated. The story is what that doubt reveals about the information environment that Israel has deliberately built inside its own borders. Since February 28th, Israel has imposed a near-total media blackout on damage imagery from inside the country. Not partial, near total. International journalists cannot move freely to impact sites. Israeli media operates under military censorship rules that limit what can be shown about missile damage. The IDF releases the information it wants to release at the time it chooses. In the format it decides, what gets out is what Israel allows out. What does not get out? The footage of what cluster munitions actually do to Israeli neighborhoods. The real casualty figures. The real scale of building damage. It does not get out because Israel has made a specific institutional decision that it should not. This is not unusual for a country at war. Every military in every conflict manages its information environment. What makes Israel's situation unique in this war is the specific combination of a near-total internal blackout alongside a very active external messaging operation. The press conferences happen, the official statements happen, Netanyahu's video addresses happen, the narrative of Israeli military success is maintained with precision and consistency. And at the same time, inside Israel, a population that has received 65,000 emergency alerts in 12 days is living through a reality that is not being shown to the outside world. Into that gap between the official narrative and the hidden reality, the internet is filling the space with speculation. Some of that speculation is Iranian propaganda, some of it is deliberate disinformation, and some of it is the natural, inevitable result of a population watching its leaders give polished press conference statements while their own neighborhoods receive cluster munition bomblets that nobody can stop and that nobody outside is being shown. Netanyahu's son, Jair, is one of the most active social media users in Israeli political life. He has over 280,000 followers on X. He posts constantly, 50 or 60 times a day on heavy news days. He has been silent since March 9th, not reduced. Silent. His father's office says the Prime Minister is fine. Nobody has explained why the Prime Minister's son, a man who used his platform aggressively through every previous crisis, has not posted a single item in 5 days while his country is at war. The Israeli government's plane was photographed landing in Berlin. Germany confirmed the plane landed and that the German Foreign Ministry had been asked if the aircraft could park there. A German spokesperson said only the flight crew and pilot were on board, not Netanyahu. The Israeli government's planes routinely leave Israeli airspace during conflict for safety reasons. This is documented and confirmed. None of this means Netanyahu is dead. He is not. None of this means the video was fake. It was not. What it means is something more important for understanding this war. The information blackout that Israel imposed to protect itself from the psychological impact of showing its own population suffering too. The world has created exactly the conditions in which every unusual signal, A skipped meeting, a sun's silence, a plane in Berlin, a frame with what looks like an extra finger. It becomes raw material for speculation that Iran's information operation then amplifies into global noise. The blackout was supposed to control the narrative. It is controlling the narrative. But the vacuum it created is being filled by something Israel cannot control at all. Here is what the information blackout is actually hiding. Not speculation, not Iranian claims, but the verified facts that Israel has chosen not to publicize and that have only come out through official confirmation of specific numbers. 6,500 buildings damaged inside Israel. That figure comes from damage claims filed within the country. The official administrative record of structures hit by missile and drone strikes. 500 vehicles destroyed. These are not Iranian estimates. These are numbers that Israeli insurance and civil defense systems produced from inside the country's own reporting infrastructure. They are not widely publicized by the Israeli government. They surface through data journalism and reporting on the claims system, not through official Israeli military communications. Now add the cluster munition reality. By day 10, the Israeli military confirmed that roughly half of all Iranian ballistic missiles fired at Israel were cluster munitions. Most carry between 24 and 80 submunitions. CNN's analysis of 2 separate cluster attacks documented impacts spread across areas of 7 and 8 miles respectively. The interception rate for those submunitions once released? 0%. Not low, 0. Every cluster munition that gets through, and they are getting through because even intercepted missiles can release their payload before the intercept, drops dozens of live explosive devices across an urban area. Homefront Command has issued public guidance on identifying unexploded submunitions on the ground. Israeli citizens are being told what a live bomblet looks like and how not to touch it. What does that do to a city? Not the immediate strike. The immediate strike is survivable for most people because shelters work and early warning systems function. Israelis have been drilling for this for decades. What it does is something else entirely. It makes the ground dangerous after the all-clear. It means that when the siren stops and people come out of their shelters, they step into streets and parks and playgrounds where live explosive devices may be sitting. The psychological effect of not knowing whether the ground outside is safe, not during the attack but after it, is qualitatively different from any previous form of missile attack Israel has experienced. The overnight attacks that led to this script were significant. Hezbollah has pushed its front more aggressively in recent days, coordinating with Iranian strikes to create simultaneous pressure from multiple directions. The combination of Iranian cluster munitions from the east and Hezbollah strikes from the north creates an alert environment that allows no recovery time between events. 65,000 alerts in 12 days, roughly 5,400 per day. That means the average gap between alerts during high-intensity periods is measured in minutes, not hours. Sleep deprivation at a population scale. Commercial disruption at a national scale. The psychological weight of living inside an emergency system that never switches off. Israel's economy is absorbing this in ways that are also not widely publicized. The American technology companies that set up Israeli headquarters and R&D centers drawn by Israel's skilled workforce, its technology ecosystem, and its geographic and cultural ties to certain U.S. partnerships. Pair now running those facilities inside a cluster munition impact zone where the alert system fires hundreds of times daily. Some have evacuated international staff. Some have reduced operations. The economic disruption caused by sustained missile pressure on Israel's technology sector is a second-order consequence of this war that has received almost no coverage, because Israel does not publicize it, and the companies involved are not eager to discuss it. Iran knows all of this. Iran's cluster munition strategy was not designed to destroy specific military targets. Cluster munitions are essentially useless against hardened military infrastructure. They were designed to do exactly what they are doing, to fill urban areas with small explosive devices that create sustained disruption that wear down normal life. To build a population-level demand for the war to stop that eventually reaches political leadership. The IRGC has explicitly said its goal is to make Israeli citizens leave, not to kill them in large numbers, to make them want to be somewhere else, to make the cost of staying in Israel feel higher than the cost of pushing their government to find a way to end the war. The information blackout prevents the outside world from seeing how far that campaign has progressed. It also prevents ordinary Israelis from knowing whether their neighbors are going through the same thing or worse. In an information environment this tightly controlled, the only signal people have about the true scale of what is happening is what they can see from their own window and what manages to filter through the restrictions. Some of it filters through. The six-finger video controversy is the symptom, not the disease. The disease is the gap between a government that says it is crushing Iran and a population that is receiving 65,000 alerts and finding live bomblets in their streets. That gap is what Netanyahu's press conference cannot close. It is what the official damage figures, released selectively and framed carefully, cannot address. It is what the information blackout was designed to stop from becoming visible. And it is becoming visible anyway. Not because Iran's propaganda is winning, but because the reality it exists to conceal is too large to fully contain. The information war inside this conflict has two fronts. One is obvious and well documented. Iran's state media, its proxies, its influence operations that produce fabricated videos, fake casualty images, and AI-generated content designed to shake Israeli public confidence and weaken American political support for the war. That front is real. It is active. The Netanyahu death rumor, the six-finger video controversy, the images of an alleged ambulance scene. These are the outputs of a deliberate Iranian information campaign that has been running since February 28th. The other front is less discussed and more structurally significant. The information war that Israel is running against its own population and the international media. Not through fabrication, but through restriction. The near-total blackout on damage imagery. The military censorship of domestic reporting. The carefully controlled press conferences that acknowledge specific verified facts while providing no visual evidence of the conditions those facts describe. The IDF releasing footage of intercepts, the bright streaks in the sky. The successful missile destructions, while providing no equivalent footage of what the cluster munitions that survive interception do to the neighborhoods below. Both information wars are succeeding on their own terms and failing on the same terms. Iran's disinformation is successfully creating noise and doubt in global audiences. But it is also being fact-checked, debunked, and identified at scale by Western media organizations that are well-equipped to spot fabricated content. The Netanyahu death rumor lasted less than 48 hours before Snopes. The Jerusalem Post and multiple credible outlets had definitively addressed it. The six-finger controversy was analyzed and dismissed within hours. Israel's information blackout is successfully keeping specific images and footage from reaching international audiences. But it is also creating the vacuum that Iran's disinformation fills. Every detail that Israel does not officially confirm becomes a space where Iranian claims operate without immediate rebuttal. The absence of information is itself information. And in a war this large and this globally watched, audiences interpret absence as concealment, because in many cases it is. The specific facts that have emerged despite the blackout are significant precisely because of the effort it took to suppress them. 6,500 damaged buildings, a figure that came from insurance claims data, not official military communications. 65,000 emergency alerts, a figure from the alert system's own logs. 0% interception rate for cluster munition bomblets, confirmed in Israeli military briefings to the press, but not prominently publicized. Each of these facts, taken alone, is consistent with a war going roughly as the official narrative describes. Taken together, they describe a country absorbing sustained daily non-interceptable attacks across its urban center in a way that its population will eventually need to process politically. Netanyahu's press conference on March 12th said Israel is crushing Iran. The cluster munition bomblets are still on the ground in Israeli streets. Both things can be simultaneously true. The military campaign can be degrading Iranian launch capability, while the remaining launches still produce 65,000 alerts and 0% interceptable bomblets. What cannot be simultaneously true is that this is succeeding on the terms that justified starting it, and that the population living through it is willing to continue indefinitely. The polling data from inside Israel shows 93% of Jewish Israelis support the war, and most want it to continue until the regime is overthrown. That is a remarkable figure for a population living through 65,000 alerts. It suggests either that the information blackout has been more effective than outside observers think, or that the genuine conviction that Iran must be dealt with permanently is stronger than the discomfort of living through cluster munitions, or both. But polling data from the second week of a war is not the same as polling data from the second month, and the conditions that produce the second month's numbers are being shaped right now by what is and is not being shown to Israeli citizens about what this war is actually costing them and whether those costs are leading anywhere. That looks like the outcome they were told to expect. Netanyahu's video is real. Netanyahu's alive. Six-fingered frame is a compression artifact or a trick of the light, or the result of someone looking for something to find and finding it. But the question Candace Owens asked, where's Bibi? It's not actually a question about Netanyahu. It is a question about the gap between the press conference version of this war and the street-level version. It is a question that 65,000 alert recipients are asking in their own way. Every time the phone screams again, they move to the shelter again, and they wait for the all-clear again, and then check the ground for bomblets again. The blackout was supposed to stop that question from being asked globally. It has kept back the specific footage. It has not kept back the question. Iran's cluster missiles have a 0% interception rate. Israel's information blackout has a different problem. The reality it is containing is too large, and it has been running for 2 weeks. And eventually, large things that are held too tightly find a way out. The six-finger video was a symptom, the war is the disease, and the disease is not what either side's press conference says it is.